welcome back to my channel. I've got this awesome chick here, Brooke.
Hi.
She is gonna interviewing her just to show you guys again another perspective of her weight loss journey, and also because she's had a lot of work done with Destination Beauty at the same clinic that I was. So that's where I've met her. So yeah, so why don't you tell everybody, just introduce yourself and tell everybody about your kind of weight loss journey. And
where do I begin? Okay, so I'm a mum of 6 children. I would call myself, I've always been a big girl. I've always had, probably around the age of 10, I noticed my weight becoming different than everyone else. I can remember a school nurse mentioning that I was 55 kilos at 10 years of age, and that apparently wasn't normal, so I didn't know that until the nurse told me. And then as I went through my teenage years, I played a lot of sport, but I was always that bigger girl. And then obviously once I had children, it just got out of hand. With my first baby, I gained 45 kilos.
wow.
So I went up to 125 kilos in total, and within 12 months of giving birth, I'd lost all that weight and I was back down to 73. Within a year or two, I was pregnant again. The same cycle continued. So I'd gain all this weight, lose all this weight, and it was just a constant battle in that cycle for almost a decade. So at the end of all of that, I finally decided that I had to lose the weight once and for all. I couldn't use pregnancy as an excuse any longer, and I worked really hard to lose my weight again. 30 kilos of it I did just with diet and exercise, and my exercise was really gentle. I did most of it walking, so just walking and eating clean. And then the last 20 that I lost, I was actually involved in a 12-week challenge competition. A friend of mine heard about a competition where the female winner would win $100,000. And it was Australia-wide.
Oh no, I've met a celebrity, guys.
So in my head, I kind of had that as if I'm going to win that, and the other side of my brain said, why wouldn't you win that? So I went to work, and my training became that of an athlete. I included weight training, cardio, and by the end of the 12 weeks, I was doing 6 to 8 hours of training a day.
So yeah, Brooke's got an Instagram, so if you just want to let them know, so they could probably go and check you out, because I've checked her Instagram out and she's got a lot of cool photos of like her before and after photos. So if you guys want to check it out, because man, you had like really big guns before she went to surgery, and also abs for days. So go and check that out, guys. Oh yeah, let them know what's your Instagram?
It's Brooke Lenise. So BROOKE, Lenise, LENISE.
Yeah. Just so you guys can see that she's not lying. She actually has had a really big transformation.
So yeah, and I ended up winning this competition, to cut to the chase. But that's a good point to make. I had muscles, and you'll see it on my Instagram, and I had 6-pack at the top of my abs, but that was covered by my gym pants. So if I pulled those gym pants down, you could see what was happening underneath, which was a lot of excess skin. And to the people on the outside looking in, all they could see was these muscles and this fit-looking girl. But in actual fact, from being so large and shrinking so many times, I had excess skin that the only way I could get rid of it was to look into surgery, which is how I got to be here.
So what made you come to Thailand specifically and choose Destination Beauty?
Okay, so predominantly I have a girlfriend that has been over here twice. She had her breasts done first, and I was privy to see them, and they were magnificent. And it went incident free. She spoke so highly of the doctors, the nurses, the facilities, the accommodation. And I thought, that's cool. She told me pricing. I thought, wow. And then probably within 12 months, she came back over and got her stomach done.
Oh, cool.
And I saw again the before and after of that. So I knew her and her issues. And then I saw her come back with this flat stomach for half the price that you pay in Australia, if not more. And again, rave reviews of her doctors, the hospitals, the accommodation, and no incidents. So it was a great testimonial for me to just keep up here. At that point, I had no plans to come to Thailand and have surgery at all.
Okay.
It was one of those things that I hoped I could do, but in the back of my head, 6 children, a job, where do you find time? Where do you justify spending the resources to get it done? And I guess that's the struggle that mums have. Sometimes we put everyone first before ourselves.
Yeah.
Winning the competition enabled me to have cash. So then that thought process of, instead of me wishing to have surgery, became a reality. I now was in a place that I could have surgery. So my research became greater. Even though I'd heard great things about Destination Beauty, I investigated all of them.
You have to, eh?
I investigated all of them. So I compared prices, I compared testimonials, just different packages of what different places were offering, and I still came back to Destination Beauty. There was a couple of procedures that I found cheaper somewhere else, but that wasn't enough to draw me over there, because I'd heard such great things about Destination Beauty that I felt more comfortable in my heart to go with a place that I knew firsthand had done great work for somebody I knew. So that ultimately made me choose them.
And so what have you had done, so everybody can know?
Oh, what haven't I had done might be easier. So I've had the excess skin from under my arms removed. It depends on who you're talking to. Some people wouldn't think I had a great deal, but for the amount of training that I did, for me, I did have a definite bat wing, and it bothered me. And it's the visual part that everybody sees. So, you know, I could flex and have a nice tricep here. The minute I put my hand up and waved goodbye, I had skin down to here. And it affected the way that I trained. It affected my motivation to keep going. It was almost like, well, what is the point? I work so hard and nothing changes. Nothing changes. Yeah. So, arms. I also, when I was heavier, I had really large breasts. I'm a big girl in frame and height.
Tall. You're
almost 6 foot. I'm 5'11".
She's very tall.
And I've got this vest on, but I'm very broad-shouldered, like a swimmer. And my breasts were the one thing that I felt very feminine about. So when I was heavier, I had hips, I had boobs, and even though I was a foot taller than most guys when we went out, I still felt like a girl. Once I lost my weight, I lost my hips, my boobs disappeared, and after breastfeeding 6 kids as well, I was basically left with skin that just hung on my chest.
It's not a cool feeling. It's so must have made you really insecure.
I had moments where I thought to myself, I would rather eat food, fill my boobs back up with fat, and have breasts. So then it's in my head, I'm like, okay, so I've got 2 choices. I be this fit, healthy girl that is missing all the things that make her feminine, or I become unhealthy, eat, have a high fat percentage, but have breast again. And it was always that pull. I felt like I was in a body that was a fat girl's body, but here I am, this healthy person that trains her ass off, eats super clean, but I'm looking like a melted candle. That's how I describe it.
Aww. That's how I kind of felt with my gut, eh?
It just looks like everything's hanging, and you know, a candle starts off nice and firm, and then it all just melts away. And
that's alright. That's alright, girlfriend. You got boobs now.
So I got boobs. Not only did I get some implants, I had the full lift. So I've had my nipple totally moved from somewhere down here to up here, and I had a fair bit of skin actually removed so that the firmness could be recreated and stitched up, and then an implant put in. My implant size is 425 cc's, which on me isn't overly huge.
So what kind of cup size would that be?
At a guess, I would say I'm a good double D right now.
Okay, cool.
But again, on me, because of my frame...
And the swelling, it might go down maybe?
Possibly.
You're still in a good size range.
I'm in a good size range, but it doesn't look too big. I think because my frame carries it. I was hoping to have, I think this is a good point to make, I was hoping to have bigger, around 600 cc's, and not because I wanted to look booby or fake booby, just purely because of the size of my frame and my chest. I knew that I could carry a decent amount, but once I got into my consultation with my doctor, she explained that because of breastfeeding 6 times, losing that much weight that time, my skin elasticity was not strong enough to... She could put the implant in, but it's not strong enough to hold it and keep it perky. So within literally 12 months, I would have had full boobs, but they would have been sagging back down.
And that's the point I want to make again, is that I said it in the last, Bernice, when I interviewed her, is that they said no to her and they said no to me with the thigh lifts and stuff like that. But because they said no to these things, it just shows the care that they have for their patients, and you know, that they just want to make sure that they're going to give us the best possible outcome. So if it's takes them to say no to us, that's just really awesome. That, you know, I mean, it's disheartening, because I was really disheartened when I got told I couldn't get my thigh lift, but they explained to me that, you know, I could, if I'm not here long enough to get monitored, if I hop on that plane and my thighs rip open, well, you know what's going to happen. Like, there's no one's going to save me. So they explain it like that. So it's really good that they, you know, they don't just say yes to everything. They're saying no, and they explain why. So,
and yes. I had a similar experience, because I originally was going to get my thighs done as well. And when I submitted my application and my photos, the doctor's response that came back was, you do not have enough loose skin on your thighs to have the procedure done.
The exact same thing.
I knew that I did. It was just the angle of the photo didn't demonstrate. But I felt exactly how you just explained. The fact that they have rejected me shows me that they're not interested in just collecting money and doing unnecessary work. So then I happily took another photo where I pulled my skin, probably from down here to here, and I was able to show them that there is in fact a lot of skin there. I had the same issue with you in timing. I don't have a month to spend in Thailand to recover, which is what's required.
Well, it's an extra month, because the reason why they would have given me the thigh lift because you're supposed to stay here for 4 weeks, but because they wanted me to heal from my tummy tuck first for a week or so, and that would only leave me with 2 weeks after that. That's not enough time for them to monitor my thigh lift. So that was the issue I had. It was just the timing. They still would have done it for me if I could have stayed, but yeah, I mean, I had, it doesn't make sense. Like, I had enough time altogether. I had 4 weeks here, or 3.5 weeks.
Had you had a thigh lift and nothing else, you would have had enough time. Yeah,
exactly. But because they wanted me to do my tummy tuck first and then heal from that, because you need your legs to move and get like blood flowing and stuff like that. But sorry.
Also, I think there's a part of the tummy tuck when they're pulling everything up that actually lifts a bit of the thigh as well.
Yeah, I got that as well.
I looked in the mirror and I kind of thought, hey, my leg's not looking as bad.
I got a thigh gap now.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. When you haven't had one before, it's really cool. But yeah, okay, sorry. So what else?
Okay, so arms, boobs, so breast implants and lift. And I've also had a full tummy tuck.
Was it extended tummy tuck?
It wasn't extended. Surprisingly, how big my weight loss and gains and babies and all the rest of it, I just had a normal. Did you have extended?
Yeah, I had extended one.
Okay, so
maybe because I haven't, because a lot of mine actually, like, my tummy wasn't it didn't have as much loose skin. It still had fat in it.
Right.
Like, I've lost the weight, but it's still, I'm quite chunky everywhere, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, so that might be a difference. So you might have had more loose skin.
It's interesting because have you shown on YouTube your bags of skin?
Yes, I have. I've taken a photo. Oh, actually, no, not on YouTube, but it's on my Facebook page, linked to YouTube. But
so when they held up my bags of skin, so I had a left and a right side of my stomach and a left and a right side of my arms, and I had a left and a right side of my boobs. So when I woke up, there's 6 bags, this, and this. The amount of fat that was on my bits of meat that were cut off was very minimal.
Yeah, I had quite a bit of meat.
Fat. Which demonstrated I trained myself to a pretty low body fat percentage, and nothing else was going to shift because it was all purely skin and flesh. So it was interesting seeing that flesh once it was cut off. So a normal tummy tuck, obviously having 6 babies, I had a lot of muscle separation with my abdominal wall. So there was a lot of internal suturing to bring those muscles back together, which now I believe sits like a corset.
Oh, cool.
So originally they were like that. And when they're like that, the intestines and all the organs pop through the middle, which is why women get that pot belly look. So then when they stitch that abdominal wall together, it holds it like a corset, which gives us the flat look again. So not only have I removed all my skin, I've now got this amazing flat belly.
Had abs though, so.
Well, I had the appearance of abs at the top. Well, they were, and that was to do with low body fat. So when your percentage drops, you're able to see them. So they were there, but go below the belt, and it was just skin for days. So you couldn't see any abdominals down there whatsoever. So, and then the final procedure I had done, which was a bit iffy. I originally put in my application to have a neck lift. So I'm 42 years old, and I started having
this. Can you believe that, guys? I didn't know. I thought she was my age. Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
No, you look it, so that's all right. And you don't have the body to go with it. Anyway, keep going. Sorry, I keep stealing all my mind.
I started having this issue with my neck where when I would smile or speak, I had a very defined line that would show out on my neck, and it was quite aging. And I looked into, me not knowing much about the plastic surgery procedure, I thought, oh, well, I must need a neck lift, because losing weight, obviously I've lost a lot of weight in my face and my neck, and I thought, okay, it too has laxed in its elasticity, which is why I'm having this issue with my neck. So I sent my photos away. I want an assessment done, a quote for a neck lift. When my photos came back, the assessment from the doctor came back, I didn't have enough skin for a neck lift. Again, because of the angles of the photo. I then presented a video to Destination Beauty for their social media pages, and it was in that video that my doctor saw it, and she could see my neck moving in its natural environment. I then got a letter.
It sounds like you're talking about an animal that's in natural environment.
Well, on the photos, it's quite confronting when you do the photos, because you're kind of like, okay, here. Nothing's natural about, you're not just sitting there having a chat and smiling and things are doing what they do in your real world. So to try and explain what your problem is a little bit tricky, especially when it's not extremely noticeable. If you were someone that had a neck down here, the doctor straight away would go, okay, she needs a neck lift and this and that and all the rest of it. So I got an email back from my service rep. Her name's Tia. She was amazing. And she said, Dr. Ankana, which is the doctor that performed all of my surgery, has looked at your videotape, and she said, you don't need a neck lift. The procedure that would help your situation is called a platysmoplasty.
So what does that mean?
The problem with the platysmoplasty, it was almost $2,000 over the quote for a normal neck lift. And what that actually is, in our neck, we have muscles. I think if I go like that, you can see your neck muscles. They're called platysma muscles.
Right.
What had happened with me is one of them in particular had become weakened, and it's aging combined with weight. So it's become weakened, and every time I smiled, it would become noticeable, or when I spoke. And a good way to test if this is what you've got is you say the letter E, and it would poke out. I do have pictures.
That'd be good for people.
I do have pictures on my pages that I've actually had a lady write to me on social media through following my surgery experience that said, I think I may have what you had. Could you send me a picture of what yours was like? And I did that, and it was almost identical. So she said, thank you so much. Now she knows what to go to her doctor and ask for instead of a neck lift, because she too was early 40s. So what they actually do with that procedure, I have an incision under my neck. It's probably, 3 centimetres.
Yeah, it's not very big.
It's not very big. And they pull the skin forward. The muscles that are in there were kind of like the stomach situation. So they had separated, and this one had become weak. So they pull the edges back together like that, stitch it all up, and it becomes a corset around your neck, exactly how the abdominal wall works.
So you didn't have to tighten any of that skin?
No. So
Wow.
if they were to do a neck lift, if my skin around my neck was looser, they would have went behind the ear as well. So they would have done the platysmoplasty, and then they would have done the neck lift by cutting incisions around my ears and pulling the skin back. But the skin quality was good enough that I've simply got a 3 centimetre incision. However, they get their tools down there. They've sewn all the way.
Who cares? We're asleep for it. Doesn't matter.
I had bruising down here somewhere, so I can just imagine what goes in there for them in order to do it. But it's pretty much from this point all the way up has been sewn back together, and I have that now corset effect around my neck, which has taken quite a few years off. Well, it's improved what I was dealing with.
So I didn't meet you before you had the surgery.
Yeah, I'll actually show you a photo of it.
Okay,
so
cool.
you can see. Actually, I'll pull it up now, and then we can flash it to the screen.
Okay. I don't know.
You can keep talking if you want.
No,
Ask
it's
us
all about
questions.
you. But so how has your? Is that all the surgeries you've had?
Yes, so I had 4 procedures.
And you're planning to come back to get your thighs done?
I am definitely coming back to get my thighs done, and I'll definitely be coming back with Destination Beauty because I've had such an amazing experience with them. Particularly my doctor, Dr. Ankana. I think now that I've started the journey with her, I'd love to complete the whole thing with her because I have built a relationship of trust, and it takes away all the fear of what's happening. But so that's just a gentle smile. Sorry, everyone, no one can see this.
Is it on your? Oh, the camera's on this side, so. Oh, the glare.
The glare. There we go. You might be able to see right
Just
there.
take a screenshot, guys, and blow it up. But yeah, so how's the pain been? Because a lot of people, it's a lot of questions I get is, how's your pain? How's your pain? What are you feeling? I'm like, oh, I'm just numb. So
as we've been discussing, I think because we've both been on a weight loss journey where we've been quite physical, we've trained. I know I tried to be incredibly healthy when I got over here. I've had minimal pain as well. I actually thought that I would wake up and I was scared of it. I was scared. I was not sure if I would be able to go through the pain that I was about to experience. And I've had 6 kids. My pain threshold, I think, is quite high. But when you have no reference to what you're about to go through, it's quite daunting. So I think that's 2 great testimonials that the pain is definitely bearable.
yeah. Like I told you guys before, the only pain I've had is the drains. They burn. It feels like a burning sensation, but
yeah,
only
and
for the first 2 days, I think, 3 days,
yeah,
and then it just feels uncomfortable.
yeah. And I think that's more because you're moving and they kind of rub and stuff, so you get a bit of agitation with it. My pain basically felt in my stomach. It was all muscular pain. Felt like a very intense ab workout on steroids. So
Yeah.
I can remember laying in my hospital bed, and at one point I got a tickle down my throat and I had to cough, and I was almost praying to God, please don't let me cough, because the tenseness of the muscles, but it's muscle pain. It doesn't feel. I was expecting to feel like I'd been cut and scared that it's going to rip open and stuff like that, and I never really felt that way. With my arms, I have very minimal pain or discomfort. With my boobs, I had a lot of chest, again, muscular pain in the way that it's difficult to put your body weight on those places because it's more than a gym workout. Obviously, you've got doctors going in there and manipulating muscles to insert implants, and
then your body has to get used to that implant.
Yeah,
A foreign object.
So I think I was in surgery back-to-back day 1 and 2, which meant I was pretty much knocked out for 2 days. 3rd day, I'm awake. It's the first day that I can actually feel what my body's going through. I was on a morphine drip. I was given the opportunity by nurses at any time that if I was overcome with pain to call them. There would be pain medication available. That day 3, I actually didn't ask for any pain meds. I was on
Spartan you.
well, and it was more. I was going through it and I thought, okay, I can tolerate this, but it wasn't comfortable. And then I didn't want to be that whingy patient that was, I can't cope, where's the nurse? So in hindsight, I probably should have just asked for more and it would have come. And then once the doctor came in and saw me, she said, how much pain med have you asked for today? And I said, none. And she said, what are your pain thresholds at the moment between 1 to 10? And I said to her about a 7. And she goes, a 7? You need pain med. So she came in and gave me some, and then it became a regular, whenever I had my antibiotics, somebody came in with pain medication. And from that point on, I was quite comfortable. I became nervous as hell the day they said that I had to get out of bed. Because again, I just didn't know how putting my feet...
And when was that? Was it like day 4?
Day 4.
Okay. So, yeah.
So 2 days back-to-back surgery, they gave me a day to just heal. And then on day 4, they came in and said, okay, we're going to go and have a shower. I didn't know, so laying in bed, I felt quite well. I also had a camera crew come in that were working for Destination Beauty the day after surgery, and they commented on how well I looked. And I thought, okay, because I couldn't see myself. I'm in a bed.
When you pass the mirror, you're like, oh, damn, I look pretty good.
Me being a bit vain, my first question was, there's a camera at me, do I look okay? I can't get out of this bed and do my makeup or look. And they said, you look amazing. And I thought, wow, I've had 2 days of surgery and they're saying I look all right. Hopefully I look all right. But again, I didn't know how standing on my feet would differ than laying in a bed. So laying in a bed, I felt quite comfortable. It wasn't until they got me up and I had to actually put all my weight on my feet. And I thought, okay, so if this is as bad as it gets, it's okay. Was it comfortable? No. I think we both have been discussing how, especially after tummy surgery, your back automatically bends forward.
You have to as well, because they've tightened your stomach so much that, and then the stitches are there, you can't stretch up, otherwise it'll tear. So you kind of have to arch. So yeah, it was kind of a bit uncomfortable and sore. But did you notice as soon as you put the garment on, I could walk straighter. I felt more.
I think you supported. These garments are quite fitted.
Yeah, they're
you
really,
feel
really good.
supported that when you straighten up a bit more, you're not going to wreck anything. I think that's more how it kind of... It probably supports your back as well, because it's fitted the whole way around, and yeah, you're a few days on. So, but I felt like a little old lady. I've got my drains, I've got my drips and my drains, and I'm hunched over, and I don't know, being 6 foot tall, I probably was even more
having a catheter.
Having a catheter.
I've never had one before. It was really interesting. I didn't even know I was peeing when I was
Isn't that funny when they come and empty it? And you're like, I didn't do that.
Was that mine? Yeah, it was very strange because I've never had one of those before.
I've been blessed to have one when I've had some babies, so I knew the process.
I've never had one before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I didn't even know it was in.
Yeah, it's interesting. You wake up and it's all done for you. Like, wow, okay then. So from day 4 onwards, everything I actually could feel improvement from the mornings. I'd wake up, and by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I could see progress with my recovery every single day. So with my neck, there was a bit of issue with the money side of things being a couple of grand more expensive. So I was humming and hawing whether I tried to find more money back home and got it done while I was here. And after, discussing it with my partner, we decided that... private joke. We decided that I would hate to get back home and regret not having that procedure done
over a couple of grand.
So we came up with the money, and Destination Beauty was so great because obviously while I'm there, it's not booked in. I don't have the money to pay for it. I called my rep, Tia, that's been dealing with me the whole way, and I said to her, I actually had paid for the neck lift, so that was already covered. I said to her, could you do a breakdown of what I've paid for and what I've had done so that I can see what is left over? And it came back that the $2,500 obviously for the neck lift was to be refunded. So I said to her, if I was to book in to get my neck done to do the procedure that Dr. Ankana recommended, being Christmas time, is that possible? She came back to me and said, I will check with the doctor. It will depend on her schedule and the operating theatre availability. But if it is available, we'll get it done.
Oh, cool.
So within, it wouldn't even be a day, a few hours, they came back to me and said, Dr. Ankana came in and saw me.
Oh, cool.
And she went through the procedure and she said, are you sure there'll be a scar? She wanted to make sure I was 100% comfortable with what maybe... at some point she said there may be a T incision depending on how bad the situation is and how much work they had to do. Are you comfortable with the outcome should that be the case? And I said yes. And so she said, I will operate on you first thing tomorrow morning, 8:30. And it happened that quickly.
Wow.
So I was really impressed with that because I thought they might come back and say, you know what, you've had your time to plan your trip. You've got your work done, and that's
they're
that.
very accommodating.
Very accommodating.
So what would you say about the quality of care? Not with just Destination Beauty, but with the hospital stay as well. That's another question I got as well from my family and friends, was they were just worried, will I be taken care of properly and all that kind of stuff. So
from the minute I had my transfer from my hotel to the hospital, I was an early patient, so I arrived at about 6 o'clock. Pretty much straight away I went and had a blood test. There was no waiting around. Like in an Australian hospital, my preconceived idea is I'd be sitting around all day waiting for bloods, and then I'd be waiting for x-rays, and then I'd be moved to somewhere else, and it would be hours and hours and hours before anything happened. So I got to the hospital by 6, I had x-rays, I had bloods done, paperwork, and I was on my ward probably by 7:30. By 8:30, I was in the operating theatre.
Wow.
So my doctor came to my room, say at 7:30, took off all the gears, what's being done.
Tell you I'll see you in theatre in about an hour. But mind you, even though it's really, really fast, like we've both talked before, it was months and months of communication via email beforehand, before coming here. So it wasn't like they were just going in like blindsided. Does that make sense? Like they already knew this procedure that they want to do on us. They already knew our body types because of photos. We'd already discussed, the procedures, asked questions, and they're very, very helpful. They answered everything. I think I asked a million questions to my rep. So, but she was very helpful. Her name's Patty, by the way.
Did you meet Patty?
No, I didn't. Oh, I might have, but when I first came, because I met so many people with different names, I met I think 20 people the first day, and because I was here by myself, I was a bit like, oh. So I might have met her, but no, I'm not sure. But yeah, so, okay, sorry.
I requested to meet Tia, and I apologised to her for the amount of emails I sent that poor girl.
Yeah, see, so...
Because I just wanted to be completely sure that I knew every step of what was going to happen to me. So it didn't matter how little it was. And they were really efficient at answering it too. There wasn't, well, for me.
Yeah, me too. Maybe a day, but you got to remember the time difference as well.
Yeah, so. And they have to consult with the doctor.
Yes.
So for them to catch the doctor in between surgeries and things, there's always going to be a little bit of a delay to catch them and get the information back that they are requesting on our behalf. So yeah, from the moment I got to the hospital, everything was super efficient. I was treated with so much dignity. The Thai people are an incredibly giving, kind, nurturing,
loving
culture.
I know, when I left hospital, I felt like I was leaving my family behind.
Absolutely.
They just fuss over you, like, all the time.
Absolutely. So I went into theatre at 8:30. I'm out for the day. I got so much done. I woke up at, say, 5:30 in the afternoon. I had constant care with the most amazing nurses. Even the tea ladies that would bring in my lunch were the cutest, most beautiful women that couldn't do enough. They couldn't do enough for me. And once I was up and about walking, it was really funny actually, because Thai people are quite tiny, and as we've mentioned, I'm quite big. One of the tea ladies came in and she was used to seeing me in a bed. So I was sitting on the support person's lounge, and she saw my arm first, and she just went, and I looked at it and I'm like, what? I'm thinking, what? Is something wrong? And she's like, you're big. Like, and in our culture, I take offense to that, meaning I'm fat, but she meant she could see my bone structure was so much bigger than her own. And she asked me in time, stand up. And I stood up, and I've got this little tiny lady here, and I'm like here. And she just kept looking up at me, and she's like, you're beautiful. Yeah. And like, she was just the sweetest little lady. Really cool. And the whole language thing, that lady, for one, couldn't speak much English, but we were still able to communicate with each other in a really giving and loving way. So I ended up, when I left as well, I was sad. I had built beautiful relationships with these women that really cared for my well-being, and they care for your health, and they're there for that, but there is even more giving as on a human.
On a personal level.
Yeah.
Like I remember when they'd come in and take my blood pressure. Oh, that's another thing. They take your blood pressure every time they come in and bring you meds and antibiotics and stuff. And I'd be watching something on my phone, and they'd just stand there like, oh, what are you watching? And, they try, even though they can't communicate very good with English, they still try. They put the effort into like, make a conversation.
Yeah.
How's your day, madam? Just stuff like that. It's really, they make it personal.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
And I actually, on the day that I was supposed to check out, but then I had neck surgery, there was a nurse that was rostered on to finish work at 11 o'clock in the day. And then I was scheduled to be released that day. She hung around. No, actually she finished at 9. So her shift finished. She actually waited to see me because she thought that I was being discharged that day, because she didn't want to go home before she had said goodbye to me.
Oh, and how cool was that?
Oh my Lord. And she was one of the younger girls, and my heart, I could have cried. I was so emotional in this moment that this girl had somehow connected with me on a level that she couldn't go home from her own shift until she had said goodbye and all the best on the rest of my journey. She also asked if she could take her photo with me, and I took some on my phone, and she's got some with her, and it was just a really special moment that I'm not sure that would happen.
I don't think you'd get that in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Not that personable.
Yeah.
I mean, you may meet the odd person. I'm not saying never, but
yeah,
the type of people they're just so caring.
It's and I think it's a cultural thing built in, and maybe it's to do with the Buddhism, and there's a huge respect for everyone greets by. It's a very humble, giving, loving race, and it was just amazing to be part of it. And I've been blessed. Well, I think you've been back to the hospital as well to visit people.
And I went back with this hair, and they're like, oh my God, oh, so beautiful. And I was like, oh, thanks. But that was when I first didn't like it. I was like, no, I don't like, no. But yeah.
It's almost quite amazing, because I think the turnover of work they do is they do a lot of procedures here, which I think is why they're so efficient and good at what they do. But you would assume that you just become a face in the crowd. But I have a very high feeling that if I come back this time next year, those nurses would still identify us and our stories and know us individually, because they're that connected. So on my return trips to the hospital, I've visited different people, and I've been there for different filming and stuff. I've gone up to Ward 11, which is the ward that all of us girls, or all of us, I shouldn't say girls, there's men there as well getting stuff done.
Yes.
Ward 11 was our ward, and the minute I walked in, all of them come rushing over and hugs and kisses, and how beautiful you look and how well you're recovering. And it feels like going home almost. When I walked in there, I was like, oh, I don't want to leave again, because they're all so adorable and giving and loving. And so I can't speak highly enough of the staff.
Yeah, they are really cool. But yeah, this will be a journey, man. I'm never going to forget this. Yeah, and now I've met another friend for life, Brooke and Bernice. You guys are awesome.
And even this, I think, I mean, if I was to get surgery done at home, it would be, I'd go and see a doctor, I'd have a consultation in a room with him and I, or her and I, I'd then be booked in to go to a hospital, I'd get the work done, I'd be released, I'd go back home, and I'd have follow-up checkups with my doctor. That would be
and
it.
you'd have to travel to the doctor.
I'd have to travel on my own,
Yes.
but that would be it. There would be no connection with other people. And in this setting, we have a period in a hospital where we're all there for the same reason. We're having different procedures, but we're all there in a foreign country together, going through the same journey. They provide, once we're released and go back to our sounds like discharged, we go back to our resorts where we're all given the opportunity to have buffet breakfast. So we all see each other with our war wounds. We're not having to be embarrassed by the fact that, you know, people that have facelifts have full bandages on, and yet they're sitting there having breakfast and they're comfortable because everyone there, even though the places we're staying do have other people staying, so we're not all here having surgery, but the fact that so many of us are, there's no embarrassment with there's no hiding it, there's no judgment.
Yeah, definitely.
And it gives you the opportunity to meet people and then start up the conversation. What have you had done? And our stories then all come out.
And then that's how you build, that's how I've built connections with some really cool ladies.
And I think having that opportunity to share the process with other people and to hear their journeys and how similar or different even.
And even ask, like there was a lady that had her tummy tuck the day I was going in and she was getting discharged. So I saw her as I was getting wheeled to theatre and she's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, how's your day? How's it healing? She's like, oh, it's fine. This is day 5 for me. I'm getting released today. You'll do good. It'll only be the first couple of days. So it was really good to have, she's been where I am. So I was asking her, stuff like that. So it was really good to just be able to like bounce off other people. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think too, something that we've noticed, we've had similar procedures done, but not always done the same way. So our surgeons were different. I had drains in my arm where you didn't. And I think that's a good point to make, that depending on your doctor, things may be done differently. So if someone says to you, this is what happens, don't freak out if it's not.
I had internal stitches. I didn't have any, only on my belly button where my belly button was sewn up, whereas you've had external.
I had both.
And internal. So she's had to have stitches removed. I've only had to have them removed from my belly button. So.
And there may be medical reasons to do with that. Maybe my age, or my skin might have been lesser quality, or it may simply be the way the surgeon operates.
Yeah.
Every procedure they do might be done in a different way. And I think just don't freak out if somebody says to you a tummy tuck is done this way and your doctor does it a little bit different. Yeah. We've found that different surgeons do different things different ways, and they've all been amazing. So I think that's a good point to make.
Yeah. One more question, just because, because I don't know how long this video is. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you know what? She came here what time did you get here? Like at 12-ish, 12:30, and we were talking for like hours before we even started this video. So this has been us for the last couple of hours. But last question would probably be cost. So you don't have, if you feel uncomfortable talking about how much you paid, just in comparison to how much it would cost in Australia, what was the...
I would say pretty much every procedure is close to double in Australia.
Right.
I think it may be more in New Zealand, but
yes, it is.
From my
it was 45,000 just for a tummy tuck.
Yeah, that scared me when I heard that. But from my own say boobs, from what I've seen in Australia, it could be anywhere from 7 to 15, and I guess that depends on all kinds of things, the private hospital, the special doctor, the type of implant or whatever. I think arms were about $3,500 here, $3,500, well, Australian, be slightly different New Zealand. And I know that in Australia is, again, there's a range, 7 to 10. Thigh lift here was quoted at about, not that I got this done, but it was quoted about 4,500 Australian dollars. Double that, you're looking at the Australian figures. It probably goes 8 to 12. Again, how different doctors justify these prices,
and that is just for the surgery, whereas the amount we're paying here, that included all our medications that we had, the treatment that we got from the nurses, the hospital stay, which was, I stayed in for 6 nights.
I was in for 9.
Well, there you go. See, so all the costs that we've paid, even though it was a percentage of what we would have paid, like 45,000 would have just been my tummy tuck. That's it. I would have had to pay extra for the garments, for the hospital stay, for the medication, for probably even a consultation with the doctor, and just the stay in the hospital. So yeah, everything that we're paying is a little percentage of what we would have paid, and that includes everything.
Yeah,
so that's the beauty.
So because I had the breast lift and implants and the tummy tuck, they call that the mummy makeover. So that came as a package, which came in at around $9,000 or $10,000 as a combined package. Where back home you just get your boobs for 10.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the whole tummy, boobs, lift, everything in that little package, and then there was the add-on. So the neck, like I was saying, that ended up quite expensive. That was $4,500 to get done what I'd done. And I even said to the doctor, how can you justify charging that much here when a thigh lift costs that much or a tummy tuck costs that much? And it was the complexity of what they were doing. So even though it looks minor, there was a lot of intricate work that the doctor had to do while she's in there. And I think because it's not a common procedure.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. So if it was something they're churning out all the time, I think that would have been a little bit cheaper. But again, because I was so comfortable with my doctor, I thought I want this procedure done, and I'm happy to get it done while I'm here. So yeah. So the cost, I think 3.5 for my arms. There was about 4.5 for my neck. There was around 10,000 for the package, and in the package came all the accommodation. So we had all of our transfers from the airport to the hospital. We had breakfast daily, a buffet breakfast. I got a gift. Did you get a gift?
Yeah, I got a bag.
We got a gift.
Soap and Christmas gifts. So that was really
cool. We got
cool.
a little gift. So yeah, there's so many different things thrown into that package that had we had to pay individually for, it would have added up to so much more. Just all the trips back to the hospital and the airport, and so all up, I've spent close to $20,000.
Oh, that's cool.
But it seems like
But does that include your flights as well?
Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
I think more together, mine was like 15. Okay. But that was everything because I'm getting a refund for my thighs.
Yes.
But it's a price to pay. Eh?
But again, had I done any work in Australia, that would be 1 or 2 procedures where I've had 4 and a holiday. I've been here for...
and met cool people like me.
And met cool people.
But yeah, okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm sure I don't know how long this is probably going to be my longest one.
Oh.
But okay, so is there any last words you want to say?
My biggest thing is if anyone is thinking about doing it, definitely don't have any hesitations in investigate for yourself, do the research of what you think you need, put in a quote, just send your photos, fill in the information, get a quote back so you know what you're looking at, and then make the steps that you need to do to make it happen once you feel 100% confident with what it is you're doing. But from my perspective, I have no hesitation in recommending anybody.
And no regrets either.
No regrets whatsoever. I'm actually ecstatic with everything. That's, like I said, I wish I could stay longer, and I wish I could finish everything.
She's flying out tonight, so it's cool that I finally got someone to hang out with. But cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys later in the next video. Bye.